Hello, fellow travelers. Welcome to Respawn Station. My name is Srikandula, and today I'm joined by Nick Sivak and Austin Perkins for the very first episode of Retrograde. The show is very straightforward. We pick one game on our collective backlogs that we've really been wanting to play, and we find an excuse to play and talk about it. In this case, that game is Warhammer 40k Space Marine from Relic Entertainment and Sega of all places. And it is, well, right now it's the perfect time to play it because just in under a month as of when we're recording this,
early September,
Space Marine 2 will be hitting, I guess, storefronts, but also your digital storefronts as well. And we're all very excited for that game. That's one that's really kind of been on our watch list for a while. So, with that said, for this episode, we're going to have it a little bit segmented so you can kind of watch based on what you want to experience. The first little bit of the show, we'll talk about our general impressions of the game, and we'll keep it spoiler free so that by then you should be able to know if we recommend the game, if we want you to play it. And then I would actually say that you treat this sort of like a book club, a video game club per se, where I would recommend going out and actually playing the game for yourself and then coming back, because we'll be going into spoilers, we'll be going into story beats, and that's the best way to kind of engage with the conversation there. Trust me, it'll be much more fun if you do it. But with that said, Warhammer 40k Space Marine, guys. All right, we'll start with the person on the right, Austin. What?
I don't know who's on the
right. I should have just let you guys figure it out. They can't see me. They can't see the screen. They can only see each other.
I've never seen them.
So, Austin, first impressions. Oh, by the way, just to set the stage, actually, say what your experience with Warhammer 40k is.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start from the first time I even really heard of Warhammer outside of just the passing like glimpse of the game or one of the many games at GameStop or something like that.
Right.
About a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago, I got really into Dungeons and Dragons, and obviously being one of the biggest TTRPGs out there, Warhammer was always kind of in the conversation of, oh yeah, this is something I want to get into. My brother also, from the get-go when we started playing Dungeons and Dragons, was very much, he really wanted to paint miniatures, which that is more so associated with the Warhammer tabletop game. Fast forward, we finally get more glimpses at Space Marines 2, and just the look of this game was enough to just put me in this mindset of, okay, I need to experience this. I need to get into this world. So me, Siri, and Alexa, we live stream every week onto Chumbag HQ on Twitch, so feel free to watch us. We decided to go ahead and put it to a vote, and luckily, me and Siri were rooting for this, that we played
somehow
Warhammer,
it beat Minecraft.
Darktide. Beat Minecraft, which is what everyone actually wanted us to play, but no one actually voted for. It's very weird.
And then everyone was super upset when we played Darktide.
We literally, like, we put Minecraft on that list, and we were like, oh, it's gonna win, but like maybe we can just play Darktide anyway. And the thing with Warhammer games is notably there's like just like so many games out there that there's only like a handful of ones that like the community recognizes as actually being good.
Yeah.
So Darktide was one of the ones that was recommended to us based off of reviews and people that we know that have played the games and are more familiar with the universe of Warhammer. So we hopped into that. And that was enough to give me at least the taste of what combat in the world looks like. But of course, Space Marines 2 being a third person single player campaign was much more interesting to me, so I went ahead, bought it on Steam because that's the only place you can really buy it right now.
We all actually bought the same editions, the anniversary edition of Space Marine, which is the best way to currently play the game.
Yeah.
There's no way, I mean, unless you have a console version from like the PS3 360 or not.
I mean, but even then, it's still not like, I think it's slightly better graphics on the anniversary edition.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Obviously, we all would be playing with better hardware on all of our computers, I would
Yeah.
assume, at least. Um, so yeah,
Austin, did you play this on your Steam Deck, PC, or both, or how'd that work?
so it's actually pretty interesting with that. So I beat the first mission on my computer.
Hmm.
Keyboard and mouse, not something I really do.
Right.
My Echo that I named computer.
Shh, I can hear you.
Between Alexa and Siri, my phone, tablet, and just everything.
And
In my
now
fucking house
no
goes
one's
crazy.
safe.
So getting back to it, I beat the first mission on my keyboard and mouse, which is not something I've done in a long time. Maybe outside of like a one-off game that we played on stream.
Mm-hmm.
The bulk of this was played on my Steam Deck, but I recently bought a MetaQuest 3. And one of the features of the MetaQuest 3 is you can screen share your Steam library. And so I played a full mission full screen in my MetaQuest 3.
Here I was thinking I was cool for watching the finale of Fallout on my PSVR. Wow.
Yeah, no, you ain't got shit on this. So yeah, no, and after that headache of that being so close to my face for 20 to 30 minutes, I went back and finished it on my Steam Deck. And it actually got to the point where I'm a busy adult that has, full-time job. I took my Steam Deck to work and played it on my lunch.
Very convincing acting.
I played it on my lunch. I beat the game on my lunch.
Oh, wow, damn.
Yeah, so in my car at work in the parking lot, I played and beat Space Marines 1.
Like a forbidden fruit.
Yeah,
they don't.
I didn't want to bother anybody.
I'm finishing.
And on the flip side, I don't want anyone to bother me. And people are like, oh, what are you playing? Oh, just this nerdy fucking game. How about you get out of my
Have you heard of
face?
Space Warhammer 40K? You'll, dude. Honestly, you'll be out there sounding like Henry Cavill any chance he gets.
Yeah. I'll be auditioning for that TV series.
Okay, so before you share your opinion, Nick, your experience with Warhammer 40K.
So Warhammer
for those of the people who don't watch or listen to our weekly podcast, the Respawn Station podcast. But anyway, continue.
Sure. Warhammer and me has always been something that I've like seen from afar. It's nothing that I've ever like written off or anything, right? Like I just, kind of what Austin was talking about. Like you see a number of RTS-esque adjacent games and stuff, and that's just not really my speed.
And after a while, they just start glazing over.
Exactly. In recent years, they've I feel like they've noticeably expanded the genres of Warhammer quite a bit, and they've come more into my wheelhouse with, things like Warhammer Bolt Gun and, other games, right?
Yep.
And so, a couple years ago, I played through Necromunda Hired Gun, which is technically the first Warhammer game that I played. And it was okay. It's a first-person shooter, kind of like a Doom-ish type of game,
right?
Set in Warhammer, but like it's not very story heavy, so like I wasn't really like diving into like any lore or anything. I was just kind of there to blast some weird looking creatures and get a payday, more or less. But then I played a little bit of Warhammer Bolt Gun.
Bolt Hammer.
My favorite.
That'll be the new weapon.
Yeah, the Bolt Hammer.
But yeah, I played that earlier this year. And that's like the boomer shooter Warhammer game, and had a good time with that.
Yeah.
And then basically same as Austin, I saw trailers for Space Marine 2, and I was like, wow, that looks like crazy. And following 2023, where there was banger after banger every month, 2024 by comparison has been like a little bit quieter. And so Space Marine 2 is kind of filling that like big game in the next couple months here that I've been really looking forward to. And randomly, like, as I was playing this, like, I think I remember seeing trailers for Space Marine 1 when I first started watching E3 when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, I like have this like vague recollection of seeing, Captain Titus, fighting amongst a group of enemies. And so that was probably like my first exposure to Warhammer, but, unknowing at the time.
Yeah. All right, so for me, very quick, I have probably, I think of the group here of the chair. I have the most time in space into Warhammer. I keep saying Space Marine, but that is to say, I've played Bolt Gun, I've played Dark Tide, and is that all I played? I think that's all I played. And then I also have I flashed them earlier, but I have 2 miniatures that I've painted as well that are Warhammer, and I'm a few chapters. Oh shit! Knocked my elbow. That was not funny. About 5 chapters into Horus Rising, which is the first book in this gigantic series in this Warhammer universe. Of this chapter or section of the Warhammer universe. So, that being said, I will kind of iterate on the point that both of them said, which is that Warhammer games are really hit and miss, and especially like the story is like the weirdest part. Having played Bolt Gun and Dark Tide, like I said, it's like the story is so thin, and like both games have some really cool setups. It's just that like they don't deliver on it consistently, and so that was the biggest thing I think for me going in to Space Marine was, okay, will there be something of sustenance here? And with that said, Austin, let's start. Give me your actual thoughts. Did you think there was enough here?
So I think for me, it has to go back to like a timeline of how I played through it. So I started the game. I was like, this game is like the Gears of War of like this is what I want in like a big Gears of War game, right?
Right.
Where I just like feel like I just can destroy everything in my path and just like bulldoze my way through like hundreds of enemies, right? And at first I was like, okay, I don't really know Warhammer, so why is this significant? Oh, it's a video game, so they should, elaborate somewhat. I get maybe like 8 chapters in, and I'm like, okay, it's just a fun game. Not really any story here. And then, obviously, we're not doing any spoilers here. Something kind of happens that's kind of like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I start getting more of the story, and when I beat the game, I felt like the story really wasn't complete, and I still felt like okay, that was a really fun game, and I don't have any complaints about like the gameplay or anything like that, especially keeping in mind this game is now 15 or so years old. 14, 15 years old. 13, 2011. You're right. That's how math works. So I was like, yeah, especially at that time, I'm like, I kind of like regret not giving it a chance back then, because I'm sure it probably would be one of those games that I would consider one of my favorites now. If I were to play it back then and have like the whole nostalgia factor on top of it just being a very good game. It wasn't until I decided to do more research after the game to where I was like, okay, this story was actually a lot better than I thought it was. And I got more understandings of like specific terms and things of nature that they would use throughout the campaign. Got more details as to like what a Space Marine really is. Those kind of details made the game much better after the fact. So in terms of like a grading scale, I probably would have given this like a 6.5, 7 at the start, and I would probably bump it up a whole other number after getting more context as to like the world and the game itself. So
okay,
I really enjoyed the game.
That's fair. Nick, what did you think about 40K Space Marine?
Are we talking mostly about like story or just completely broadly?
Broad, general kind of thoughts, just to say,
Yeah,
like, do you recommend it? Do you not recommend it? Did you hate it?
Sure. Yeah. I really enjoyed a Space Marine. I know. Well, I should say, I'm not, to go off of the book club comparison, I'm not a very avid reader.
Oh, neither am I. All of my
that.
details came from Wikipedia pages and YouTube videos. Trust me, I'm not a reader.
Why I bring that up is that I didn't even do that extra work that you did, Austin. So I basically, played through Warhammer like I play a Souls game. It's like I'm here for gameplay. I'm here for the cool, environments. I'm here for the cool set dressing. But like, I'm sure we'll get into it, but many of the terms are gonna completely go over my head. So from a story perspective, like I think it was fine. There are definitely like some twists and turns here that I wasn't expecting. It does kind of feel a little bit, by the numbers though, for like a video game narrative of the mid 2010s, right? And
Yeah.
we'll get into it more. This game is definitely of its era.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think gameplay wise, it's of its era in a really interesting way, because games like Space Marine I feel like aren't really made anymore.
Nope.
Or
Yeah.
if they are, they're not really made to the scale that
Mhm.
Space Marine is operating at.
That exact thought. I'm sorry to kind of cut you off, but I
No,
saw
you're good.
someone like talk about it in like a YouTube short today, where it's like talking about there's two games that are coming out at the end of this month, early next month, that are like huge, and Star Wars Outlaws and Space Marines 2. So
Mhm.
Star Wars Outlaws, if that's a great game, that doesn't do anything for the video game industry, right? Because it's just another open world rogue game that probably can be reskinned and be a completely different game that already exists. But
Mhm.
if Space Marines 2 does extremely well and a lot of people enjoy it, it could change the video game industry in like a positive way, because we might see a return of this type of game. And it really is like something that I didn't know that I really wanted until I went back and played this game, of just like, yeah, this
Mhm.
is super fun.
Yeah, I think, again, not getting into like specifics or spoilers, I think part of why I enjoyed Space Marine is its simplicity in its mechanics. It's not a combo heavy Devil May Cry-esque kind of experience. It's not like an open world, like checklisty quest kind of thing. It very much is like a fairly linear, third person shooter slash action game with simple combos. And I think it's just executed in such a nice way that doesn't really get boring, or at least it didn't for me throughout the entire game. They have like, different weapons that you'll unlock as you play, so that kind of shakes up your combat a little bit here and there. They give you plenty of opportunities to, kind of switch out your loadout on the fly. So if you like certain weapons that you've unlocked more than others, you can kind of tailor your experience that way. And the game also, it doesn't overstay its welcome. So it's not overly long. It maybe took me, I think my final playtime was like 8 to 9 hours, maybe 7
Yeah.
hours, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Mine
it's
was
just
8
kind
hours,
of,
like 7 point something hours.
I think I was
Yeah.
just under 8 hours.
So yeah, it's just like a nice, simple action game, in and out, and gives you some pretty cool visuals for the most part. It's steeped in that, larger than life architecture of Warhammer.
Now, a few weeks ago, Nick and I talked about 7 out of 10 games. And as I played through Space Marine, I was like, this is such a poster child for that, because I do think Space Marine is a 7 out of 10 game. But that being said, and I smiled when Austin said it. They can't see that though.
We cannot. I just see your dumb profile picture of you touching your hat.
Hell yeah, dude! It's my beanie. It's my protective beanie. So what he said, I kind of iterate on, and then also I keep iterating on what you guys are saying. I need to go first next time. So essentially, one of the things I've always been very fascinated with, as someone who's played video games a lot when I was younger, but then now, I've gone to film school. I have I've taken classes on storytelling, and I've found my own kind of creative voice where I can, look at things in a different angle. And I always wonder, like, okay, if I went back and I experienced certain games again for the first time, like, what would I think of them now? Like some of my favorite games of all time, like what would I think of them now? And one of the games that I always felt like, okay, what would I feel like about it, was Gears of War, the first Gears of War. And I really think Space Marine got the closest to recapturing, like, okay, if I play through Gears of War 1 for the first time, as I am now, this is how I think about
We're
it.
playing through Gears of War 2 now.
We are. Austin and I are playing Gears of War 2 right now. But they kind of recaptured that feeling. Now, that being said, this is this game almost has a checklist of all the things that are a staple of the genre. I know that Nick said that was like of the time, but I actually think this game feels a little bit behind the time for when it came out. Like I think, I think what you guys said, it was mid to late 2000s. This is a 2011 game. We were in the 11s. We're in the next digits, and this game came out. So I think it still might have felt a little bit old, but regardless of that, it is a super kind of video game. There's a lot of weird elements to it that like I'm not like almost require a sense of like suspension of disbelief, which is so crazy because Warhammer's whole thing is like being immersed in this kind of really fucking the grandeur of everything. But like, one very spoiler free example I can give is like the servo skulls. I mean, dude, these servo skulls are placed around like fucking the tapes from 13 Reasons Why. I mean, it's like the fucking Inquisitor leaves these around, and they're like 30-second clips of like random mutterings, and then it's like, how are these here? Like, what? Anyway, so like stuff like that is a little weird, and you kind of have to take that into account. But that being said, as someone who really knew nothing about it, it not only, I think, kind of it surprised me in many ways. Well, not many ways, some ways, but also it did definitely deliver what the other Warhammer games I've been playing kind of lacked. And on top of that, and I'm not going to get into it super, super deeply now, but I started playing Bolt Gun again.
Same
and
here.
it kind of, the game has takes on a whole new meaning now that I've played it with the context of this game. But again, we'll try to get to that conversation next. At the end, I mean. But with that said, now the spoiler warning is going up. We've talked for about 20 minutes on just our general thoughts of Warhammer's 40K Space Marine. God, what a long title. So now, I thought the way we do this spoiler stuff is we'd kind of talk about the story a little bit more, and along with hitting some of the big kind of story moments that maybe worked for us or didn't work for us, we'd also go into, obviously a little bit more in depth, a little bit more open conversation about what we liked and didn't like about it as well. So here, I'll start. So Space Marine starts with what I think is this super badass intro. Okay, so it's it right from the opening point, right? And earlier I was saying that this game has a checklist of things. It has also, like, similarly, all those items are always servicing one thing, I feel like. And that one thing is, how do we make Space Marine, no, specifically the Ultramarines, look fucking cool? And right from the opening, where it's like this mission exchange between, on like a computer screen, and they're like, okay, we need this Forge world of Graia, which is being attacked by orcs in what's referred to as the Grimskull War. And I know that, by the way, because in Bolt Gun they say, oh, the Grimskull Wars. And so that's happening. The orcs are invading, but they need, the Empire needs, or the Emperor, I guess. They call it the Imperium, I guess, needs.
It's the Imperium of Man is kind of like their hierarchy.
Imperium of Man.
Yeah.
Needs this
one of my
Forge
notes.
world.
It's one of my
Has a
notes.
star next to it as well. And it is, along with being like this, essentially a giant factory. The whole planet is just being fucking pumped out for resources. But it also manufactures the Titans, which are these colossal fucking walking, essentially walking cities almost, war machines. And they're kind of like a very valuable asset in war, as you'd imagine. So that's the value. And they're like, okay, how do we stop this invasion? And they're like, okay, well, let's send in some Space Marines. It's like, okay, who? It's like the Ultramarines. And then you get into the game, which is a cold open, and it's Captain Titus and his two mates that kind of
Here,
form
I
a
got the
squad.
names for you.
It's
I got the
Sedonis and the fucking Lemonhead. I don't know, Leandros.
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 Close. You were close. I didn't think you were going to have either, to be honest.
And they, first of all, I knew this game was going to be sick as soon as they just leap out and they're like, I got this. It just leaps out. And before he even makes landfall or planetfall, as the chapter is called, he's already bringing down orc ships. What a badass! What a badass! And with that said, that brings me to my first kind of big point.
Actually, before you go to your big point,
go ahead. Yeah.
Like I kind of was thinking about it when you were talking, just in general about like your general thoughts. I was like, would it be surprising, right, if you take out like the whole Warhammer world, right, make it just standard America, and you just replace all the Ultramarines with the Incredible Hulk? This game would probably still fucking work.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, you know, like it, and I'm saying that in like a good way.
You
like
know, next episode we'll play through that Incredible Hulk game that came out.
The Incredible Hulk game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be the exact.
It's on all our backlogs, right?
Yeah. I've owned several copies. I just never pulled the trigger.
Okay, so
but anyway, go ahead. It was just something that was stuck in my head. I was just like, yeah, like that's something like the Incredible Hulk would do. Is just like jump on a ship, destroy it, go down with the ship, and just brush off like nothing even happened.
Yeah, no. So let's see. Okay, so the point was right away the thing that apart from this game has, I think, really good a collection of assets. That's the weirdest way to possibly say that. So it has
their assets are incredible.
So it has it's not hyper detailed, but again, it's a game of the time. So it does a lot with what's the little that's there. And so like obviously textures aren't like the crispest when you go up to them, but they use it well, and they add like that smog or the fog in the distance to add like kind of layering to the landscapes. And the score is just like can really take center stage at times and add to that kind of epic feeling of it all. And so it pulls all of those well together. Now, before I continue the story, is there anything right from that first kind of chapter? Because right after that, he makes landfall. He meets with Myra, Lieutenant Myra. I'm always terrible with those names, but Myra, and she's single-handedly kind of leading the humans to like fight back. Do you know what it is?
I think you're right. I don't have it written down, but I think you are right that it's Lieutenant Myra.
Yeah. So she's holding him back. So in the first chapter, you're just trying to get to this this giant cannon, the big gun, as I have in my notes, that the orcs currently have. It's an orbital gun. I think that's what it is. And they have to bring it down in order so that like support can come. First act, thoughts. Anything you had to point out?
So I do want to point out one important thing, because it does set up like a big key point, especially at the end of the game, is so they free fall after taking out the barge ship, the orc barge ship at the beginning.
Yeah. And
they free fall onto what's the name of the world?
Graia.
Graia. And so this is kind of like one of the things that I didn't realize when I just like was casually playing through the game and just had to go back and like really pay attention to some things after learning more details. They use a jetpack slightly as they're free falling, and as they land, Captain Titus is he's just like, I'm here to save the day. Like this is what I'm here to do. But Leandros, he actually has a problem right off the bat because he's an Ultramarine that is very much dedicated to their codex, which is just their rules of how they should be.
Their Holy Bible.
And yeah, this is like what they do. Like everything that it says in there is like their gospel. They should be taking this exactly as it's written. And this creates further problems down the line. But like Titus says, you should not take it as like face value. This is something that you should interpret and like adapt, like, because you shouldn't just take the exact words as it says. Because like this is a big plot point later on in the game,
right?
That we'll get to past Act 1, obviously.
Yeah. Nick,
I really love the intro, like you mentioned. Just starting up on like a computer screen of these people like discussing how they should solve this planetary crisis, more or less. And like it's kind of comedic because they're like whoever this one unnamed person is like trying to come up with these like things they could try, but they keep getting denied until, it comes down to the sending in the Ultramarines. I really like, the entire, drop sequence through the planet, and it serves as like a nice little tutorial where you get to fight some orcs and twist this giant cannon with Titus just like shouldering it basically. And the one little detail that I really do like, it's sprinkled out throughout the game, but sort of reinforcing this idea you were talking about how to make the Ultramarines just really cool, is having the other like regular human soldiers, they will like bow to the Space Marines and like, they were like, oh my god, like it's an Ultramarine, I can die with my life full of purpose and everything. Like it's very over the top in that way, but it really sells the idea that these guys are definitely the people to send in when something's going wrong.
I mean, even it has that fanaticalness of their whole universe. But go ahead.
And that's what I was gonna say too, is just like at every single point, whenever you hear like an NPC, like one of the like general military people, I don't know if they have like a name. They probably do, but once again, new to Warhammer. Like they're like, oh my god, we're so outnumbered, and then like it'll just be like Titus, Leandros, and Sedanis, and they're just like, oh yeah, like we're fine. Like there's no like even like there's no question that they think that they are going to survive and be successful. Like there's just never any wavering or doubt, and it's just amazing because like you can like the writing is very minimal, especially with the Ultramarines, but they give a certain level of confidence, and you're just like, okay, like I feel it even when I play it. Of just like, yeah, there's 100 of these creatures running at me right now, or like 10 different orcs and a boss, but I got a power axe. I'm good. Like
So then, well, to continue the story though, we get to, well, I'm going to skip some of the details. We're not going to go plot by plot, but essentially, they find out that there's an Inquisitor and Inquisitor Drogon, and he's going to. Well, he's been working on a weapon. And also, you have to stop a train, and one of the things. So one of the first things I did.
I love how you go from there's a very important guy, but you have to stop a train.
I remembered it because one of the first things, like the point I opened on about like how it felt like Gears of War. That's like one of the first notes I had about like, this feels like I'm playing Gears of War for the first time type of thing. And then I had an addendum to that note which said, "Oh my god, there's a train sequence in this game too." But yeah, you have to stop a train right after that. But then you get to Inquisitor Drogon. He says that there is a power source that you have to get, that he's been researching. And when you do, Captain Titus experiences the power of this weapon, or this energy source, but it's a warp energy source, which is like corrupt. I think it's like the idea
I do have this definition written here.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, be for Nick. So warp energy is
not nerd.
Warp energy is the energy that makes intergalactic travel possible. But
it's like spice. It's like spice in Dune.
It's also the same energy that birthed the 4 Chaos Lords. So, that's kind of why.
Hell yeah! Chaos Lords sounds so sick.
They immediately are like starting to be a little suspicious of why Titus is able to touch it and not be affected by it. Especially Leandros, furthering on the point I made before of like he's already questioning Titus's commitment to the Emperor because he doesn't interpret this codex exactly how he should, and now he's able to touch this like evil energy and not be affected. There must be something wrong.
Also, I have to say that I haven't heard of Chaos Lords before, but it sounds like something.
It sounds like a Redditor. I get it.
It sounds like it sounds like a card that Yugi would pull out in the last round, and he's like, "You forgot about my Chaos Lord." So they get this energy, and it turns out the Inquisitor says, "Hey, it's actually a weapon, and you can use it." It's such a convenient weapon that to a point I was like, "It's got to be a MacGuffin," but it's like, okay, it's.
I have it
can use
written
it.
down here too. It's so he called it the physic scourge weapon.
The psychic scourge weapon.
Maybe I wrote it wrong.
It's
That's very
the psychic.
possible. I wrote these
because they're
the
psychers.
physic.
So I think it's the psychic. but it's essentially it targets directly like a species, so it can target when fired, it can target Xenos, like aliens, and not humans, and so like it can clear the planet of orcs essentially. So they help him fire the weapon, they do all the stuff, and then it turns out that this was actually not a weapon. You opened, well, it could be a weapon, but it was used so that it opened a portal that then the real villain of the game, Lord Nemroth, is introduced. Now, here's the thing. Okay, to talk about stuff up to this point, you guys have. I have stuff, but I don't want to jump in. I'll you guys anything up to this point.
Well, I mean, so yeah, this is the point. This was the turning point in the story for me, to where I was like, okay, this actually has a story. Because up to that point, it's just like, oh man, we have to stop them from getting this weapon because this weapon could help them, and that's it. Like that was the story up to that point. We have to help this guy get another weapon because that weapon could help us, and then it wasn't literally until this moment of, okay, like there's a whole other person and he was just a puppet the whole time and he wasn't even alive, so ha ha ha, joke's on you, you just helped the enemy.
Yeah.
That like the story actually, I was like, oh my god, this is what I like.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that Drogon had a black cape on, I was like, this guy's not actually a good person. I clocked that almost immediately. I was just like, yeah, there's just something about this guy. Like, he's not being very clear in their objectives. He's kind of working around like certain things. I'm like, this guy's probably going to be a turncoat, and lo and behold, he was just like, yes, Lord Nemroth.
So I actually did have this written down too, and I completely forgot about it. But like, so to further explain that to someone who would be a Warhammer fan. So Inquisitors are a group of people that are a part of a secret organization that exists outside of the standard hierarchy of the Imperium of Man. So like they're essentially like this world's CIA. So like you're not really even supposed to really know that they are there and that they're doing things. So it was like even crazier that they ran into
the CIA,
into somebody that would be in that position. So it's like very coincidental, the whole thing, and it would make sense that he would be more secretive and like I guess maybe not like immediately go, yeah, I'm the guy, I'm
and
Imperial Drogon.
As Nick was saying, Drogon was like essentially killed, and he was being puppeted by Lord Nemroth's like minions or maybe himself. And yeah, that was also the big revelation, along with the fact that there's a new villain. You also get also. Up until that point, the real villain was Grimskull, which is this giant orc that keeps showing up repeatedly, and he keeps doing it.
He shows up actually
also,
right then as well.
He does, and it's his context for that is so funny because he shows up, gets knocked off the fucking tower, climbs back up, and then gets knocked off the fucking tower. Oh man, talk about a bad day.
I mean, the way that he's like performed and everything, he's basically like a cartoon orc. It's very over the top. Every time he sees you, he's just like, Space Marine.
and so the subtitle is even funnier because they don't spell it marine. It's like MUH.
Oh really?
It's like Marine. Yeah, it's not I will correctly, say, and it's hilarious.
So like some of the quotes and stuff that the orcs have can be funny, but good lord, you hear it a lot. I mean, Space Marine, like, go shoot me again, Space Marine. Like, I've heard some of these lines so often that I'm like, I get it, please, I get it. And it doesn't really change too much in the second half, because after this point is when you also get like Chaos Marines get thrown into the mix, and also the Chaos Demons get thrown into the mix, and it's still like, you know, the regular goons still hang out, and the orcs still are still enemies up until like very close to the end when you let's continue with the story. So you essentially the Spire is where. Wait, did anyone else have anything else to say about up to that point? I mean, we can always return. It's not like we're at a real train, all right? This train can stop and go back and forth.
Nothing really story-wise.
Not really. I mean, like I said, this is really where the story starts, and I mean, it's kind of
which
weird
is to say we're halfway
at, like, chapter 8. Yeah.
Now, I will say, I guess I'll mention it here because I think that the real, like the first chapter of this game is really solid. I think that in the second act, it really meanders. Like it's like, all right, dude, let's get to the point, because like your whole time, it almost feels like, you have this main mission of defeating the orcs on this planet, and it kind of feels like for the second act of this game, okay, it just feels like a side quest that I'm doing for this Inquisitor dude, and it gets to until that point, right? Until this point of the story, it isn't really like, oh wait, this is actually the main story. This is where we're gonna go. I kept like waiting. Okay, the side mission will end and we'll get back to the main point. We're like, let's get to the point. And so it did feel up until this point, as kind of Austin was saying, a little weird, a little slow.
But I will say that the gameplay is still good to this point, that it could carry the workload to this. Like,
and yeah,
like, I would have loved if it came a little earlier, but
to the game's credit, it does. Yeah, it also has like decent spacing of new weapons and abilities. So every mission or every other mission, you're getting like a new weapon that like a shotgun instead, or a sniper rifle, or you're upgrading your fury. So you do have some of that variety, I guess. And there's like interspersed jetpack sequences that are both
which
fun.
That's apparently another thing of the codex, is you're not supposed to use the jetpack for that long.
I mean, isn't that what Landrew says when you first land? He's like, yeah, the jetpacks. We'll talk about
that's what I'm saying.
We'll talk about like homeboy Lee Andrews in a second.
It's very just weird, like stuff like that. I'm just like there was a joke in college, because I worked in college athletics. So there's like a rule in NCAA to where like teams cannot provide food for the athletes. And specifically, the way they mentioned it is you can give them like bagels, but you can't give them butter or any spread to put on the bagels. Like it's very weird and exact like that. And it's so stupid because it's supposed to be, once again, a guideline, and it's just a very over-exaggerated example. And I think that's like the perfect kind of like.
Wow, that was not a metaphor I was expecting. That's a good one.
I'm just saying is that it's like such a weird thing that's like super specific. Like, it's just like, oh, why a jetpack? Why can't I use a jetpack for longer than whatever?
It's like in Pokemon, where like if you try to run indoors, it says Professor Oak said this is not a good time.
Yeah.
You try to use a jetpack and it's like, this is not a good. The Emperor says this is bad.
That's basically it. Or there's a It's Always Sunny thing where he makes like a workout club, and he's like, you can't eat Thin Mints. Like, it just
that feels right.
Super stupid like that.
Now, after this, they realize they've stepped in big doo-doo. And so the trio kind of pushes back against this new onslaught of Chaos Marines and Chaos Demons and the orcs on top of it. Though it does kind of start like a three-way between all of them on the planet. So I saw Austin look up when I said three-way. So let's have that.
I was ready to insert joke here, but I went back to my notes. I avoided it.
So you help push back a little bit for the Imperium of Man, and then you realize that the real kind of what you have to do is you have to reach the Titan that is nearby. Use the power source that you still have, because again, Titus can fucking withstand this warp energy, and he just carries it around on his hip. Also, this is a really quick point. I randomly remembered it, and I'll say it about kind of what happened before. The lead up to when they're firing the weapon. It's gonna sound. Look, it just reminded me of like Oppenheimer, when they're like, hey, we could press this button and it, like the whole world could burn, like the atmosphere could catch on fire. Like the whole lead up to this weapon, you're like, Inquisitor Dragon is like, or Dragoon, what the fuck is his name?
Drogon.
Yeah, Drogon. He's like, yeah, this could shatter the planet. Wait, what? Okay, just like that. So anyway, I digress. You get to this Titan.
the Emperor.
you put the supercharge the Titan. You aim it at the Spire. Again, this whole thing is like breaking rules, but like it's what it adds to the cool thing of just Space Marines and Ultramarines being like fucking badasses, because like, you know, they'll repeat their like command. Everyone's like, yes sir, yes, of course. Like the first time they're like, hey, you got to do this, and it's like, but sir, that's not, I said you got to do this thing. And it's like, yes sir, well, right away sir. So it builds to that kind of the pedestal that they kind of sit on. And you fire the Titan, the Spire breaks, and I guess we'll just kind of wrap up. We'll get to the end. Oh, actually, no.
And just to state, the Spire is what was allowing the Chaos Marines access to the planet. So once that breaks or they stop that, it's basically, okay, we need to take care of everything that's on planet now.
And a key plot point that I almost missed is, and by the way, I have no notes on this.
I was probably going to get to this plot point in a second if you didn't.
I have no notes. I'm just kind of going off this whole plot summary through my head. So there comes a point where Titus gives the power source these fucking names.
Yes. Okay, this is the plot point I was gonna say.
Gives the power source to Sidonis, his right hand man, his best bud, unlike Leandros, and says, "Hey, get this to the power source, or what? Get this away." I forget where he's taking it to, but he's supposed to take it away.
He tells him to take it back to the battleship. He tells Sidonis that. And so he gives it to him, puts it on his hip, and we get a cut scene that shows him running along, and then he gets absolutely fucked up by Nemroth.
Yeah, just like all 4 or 5 fingers in the back. You know, the dude's gone. And that is the second, I guess, the inciting incident for the last act.
Oh wait, I had a note here. This is one of the stars. Wait.
Oh, okay.
A point of dialogue after this. This was just something I came across in my research that I just thought was really cool and like builds the world of Warhammer.
Yeah.
So afterwards, after that happens, we're back to being down to just Titus wandering alone, which happens infrequently throughout the campaign. Like sometimes you have the group of 3 of like everybody, and then sometimes it's just Titus is like, okay, you two go this way, I'll go this way. So at this point, this is actually the last part that we're part of a team for the rest of the game. At least that team, I should say. And we tell Leandros to stay back with the body until the apothecary comes. And so if you look up what an apothecary is, it's just super fucking cool. It's another type of Space Marine. And this Space Marine's job is to basically come and extract the organs of other Space Marines, so that way they can basically genetically create another one.
Re-engineer him.
Yeah, it's just super fucking cool. Like
serving in death.
Yeah, so literally, like it's like, yeah, he died, but like those genetics and everything that happened to him are gonna just be placed elsewhere. And just another fun fact is that Space Marines can also eat people and gain their memories. Something else I found.
Yeah, that one I was like
not anything here, just a really cool note.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope in Space Marine 2 we see is like, hold on, let me just
eat this.
Yes. He had Starbucks earlier today. Okay, now the last act of the game, Lord Nemroth. Right, Dark Lord Nemroth, Chaos Lord Nemroth. Yep. He has the power source, and he goes to the top of the spire to inspire a crowd. And essentially, I guess they do say. They say Chaos Lord? Is that who he's trying to communicate with?
He's not a
Chaos God. Is that what he's trying to do?
He wants to become, if I remember correctly, a Chaos Prince. I'll look it up quietly. As
Hell yeah, Chaos Prince. Yeah, that sounds tight. So yeah, he's trying to be that. He's trying to usher in this crowd, and then so Titus fucking storms the spire, and in a twofold of an outro for me. Okay, so the there's 2 kind of phases you can say to the final boss fight, because when you confront him on the top of the spire, he's like, hey, like, let's fight. And
I'll interject real quick.
Yeah.
So Nemroth was a chaos sorcerer And he
my
was
God.
he was trying to ascend to become a demon prince of Chaos Undivided.
Why? So many words there.
Yeah, so Chaos Undivided is like a subsection of like the Chaos, I guess, hierarchy. I don't really know. But
So
anyway, go ahead.
the two parts of this final boss fight is one, homeboy standing up behind his comfy little shield, and he's sending out little hordes of enemies at you. And the second phase is you actually facing Nemeroth while you're both plummeting from the spire. And I think this is like the two polarizing opinion. The first part sucks, dude. It's such a shitty designed boss fight. Like that first half where it's like just these waves and there's like they flank you, and it's so easy in this game to be overwhelmed by enemies. At least I felt that way. Where it was just like
we didn't really talk about that either.
Yes,
I think we should briefly
yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Of the mechanic in this game for people who haven't played is that you basically don't really regenerate health. You must acquire health through executing enemies, which can really trip you up because there's no real indicator of like, oh, I'm super low in health aside from looking at your health bar that at least I came across.
We should talk about gameplay separately from story because there's a lot of stuff that I want to bring up. So we can.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to bring that up because that's where he was mentioning like you can get flanked and then it just creates like this last boss being a little bit of a pain.
It's a pain,
right?
But then the decapitation of this fucking lord is so cool, or chaos sorcerer is so cool because you're just both like he pushes you away and then you just claw your way back and then he pushes you away. It's like he knows
you get your
death is coming
from fighting through all the waves of random enemies that just spawn in, where you just get to wail on the guy's head until you beat him.
And then. Once you think that the resolution is that he's dead, but no. Once Titus has made landfall, it turns out that Leandrus, fucking dickhead, was like, "Hey, I know you just saved the planet, but you didn't follow the book of rules, Mister." So he calls another Inquisitor because
This is what I have written down exactly. Leandros becomes so worried about Titus that he contacts Inquisitor Thrax, who then charges Titus with heresy.
And that's
Sri,
why they
I think
say
you're the most qualified to talk about why heresy of all things is very important in the Warhammer to be accused of.
Yeah, and I will say that I didn't see this little final act coming. I mean, I suppose that's why they say no. You never expect the Warhammer Inquisition. I think that's what they say famously. But it's like I was so shocked when the game ended that it cut the title to credits, and I was like, oh my god, if I had played this 13 years ago. And it ends on essentially a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, to be honest. That would be wild.
Like for me, it's less than a month. Like I'm not waiting that long. It's like a TV show that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this episode to come out. But to end on it, like, wait, so easy. What's gonna happen with him? And that's crazy. Bit of a cliffhanger of an ending that I was not.
You know what? Also is just since we're still talking about the story. One thing of note that I've now recognized in the trailers for Space Marines 2 is he's called Lieutenant Titus now.
Also, I mean,
one of the gameplay trailers that's narrated by somebody on the dev team states that like part of the story is that he's been demoted more or less. So that'll be interesting to see how that works.
I mean, I think it was like, isn't there like a large time jump between the last one and this one because like. For like 100 years he was like fucking tortured. Anyway, okay, the few kind of last things, not really necessarily well, I guess we could say that that's the story conversation because I think everything else kind of falls into gameplay for me. So
yeah, I mean, story really was such a small portion of what made this game good. And even like the story, like it's not incredible, and it definitely needs context outside to be better.
It's mainly those big story beats that we spent some time talking about that I think really make that experience.
Which accounts for a very small portion of the game. Let's just make sure that's clearly stated.
Of a short,
I think
short game.
with the story, it feels the most like an actual story for a video game, though. Like, at least
sure.
based on the ones that I've played, right? Like in Bolt Gun, like, yes, you do play as a character who has, a voice and lines, but like there's not really like a lot outside of like, boomer shooter one-liners to like really sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
And same with like, Necromunda didn't really have that. I feel like,
Darktide was the same way as well.
yeah, I was gonna say Darktide. From what I've seen, like, yes, there are characters, but like, it's maybe it's not as theatrically like
Right.
portrayed on screen, right? Whereas in Space Marine, like it is, as you guys have been talking about, like there is a progression. There's a story. Things happen. Characters have relationships with each other that I feel like it's kind of standalone. Maybe some of the other games that we haven't played have better stories, but yeah, that's just kind of
that's a totally fair point. And that again, like I mean, I think even the fact that like I don't know, I've at least been calling Leandros a dickhead. That's a reason for that. It's because
it invokes emotion, which is always a good indication of a good story. Whether it was short-lived or not, it did get me thinking and get me excited about, oh well, what happened next? Which is a good indication of a successfully told story.
I could only call Nemroth Nimrod for the longest time. So
of course. Now it's time to talk about everything, no holds barred. Let's talk about what you liked and didn't like about it. Just anything, gameplay, looks, etc., etc. Hit me with it.
Yeah, I want to talk about gameplay because this was obviously like the thing that I resonated with the most with the game, and also the thing that I'm like the most split on with a lot of different things. So
sure, yeah, let's hear it.
If we start from the top, obviously, like we've mentioned it a couple times here, where like a big point of comparison with this game is Gears of War. That's like a point of comparison I heard even before playing this game, that it's like, oh, it's like a Gears clone kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised starting up the game that like, yes, it's a third person shooter with like, action game stuff, but like I was like fully expecting this to be like a cover shooter where like we're going up to chest high walls and like sitting behind walls and doing all this stuff. So I was actually really refreshed and happy how like aggressive the combat is in the game.
Yeah.
There's no cover system or anything like that. It's basically like
to
run
a
it
fault.
At the orcs.
Yeah.
Right. Run at the orcs, like, get in there, start using the chain sword and cutting people up and blasting people with a bolter, which I really appreciated. Kind of lending itself to that like simplicity that I mentioned earlier with the gameplay. The sound effects for all the guns are like really impactful. I really love the bolter rifle, like sniper rifle thing.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds like those rounds echo like in the environment when you're, blasting off.
You know what? Before just to reiterate on your point, God damn it! You stop saying that. Take a shot every time I say iterate. The other point though, before we move on from what Nick had just said, is with that gameplay, because of I didn't know if you were going to talk about this, Nick. That's why I didn't actually interject then. But
no,
because it's kind of like there's no cover. The reason why I said to a fault is because you get into like moments where your health is low, and I feel like for me it did the opposite of what some of the elements of the narrative did of like hyping up the Space Marine. Because man, there was times where I'm just like hiding behind cover, like, guys, please give me a second, I need to catch my bearings, and then taking on one at a time. And I think that one of the things that kind of bothered me the most, and I don't know if like I read into it weird or like if I didn't, I don't know if you guys experienced the same thing, but when you're doing so, as Austin had said, doing a finisher heals your health, like part of your health, but in doing so it starts this kind of kill animation, like execution animation, and during that time you're kind of just frozen in the act of the animation, but enemies can still hit you. So there's times in the late game where like it's not like it's hard to justify doing an execution when you're being swarmed, because there are times where you'll take more damage than what you've gained with doing the actual execution. So it can get super fucking overwhelming in this game. And I played it on normal difficulty. I'm not a crazy person. I wanted to enjoy the game, but yeah, it was. There were certainly times that I was just like, God, dude, I need it. Like I kept like I died a few times. Like, all right, let me just take a second. And that brings me to another point. I'm just gonna keep rolling. The next thing is that led me to some areas where before you I'm gonna sound like a bitch, before you actually go into an area, you can, like, if you can get a shot out on enemies, they don't realize, like, the AI is too dumb, I guess, until you like step into a certain area of bounds. It's like, the Space Marine is here.
That's so funny because I did not know that. I full on ran into every room possible.
Yeah. There's like times where there was like a sniper that had a vantage point. And I was like, you know what? I died once to him. And I was like, you know what? I just like aimed with my sniper at where he should be, and I wasn't in the room, like the area where he was. So I shot him 3 times, by the way, and it did not react at all. Just ate those bullets until he dropped. But anyway, Nick, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Back to you. Back to you.
For the no people that get that reference.
The 3 of us get it, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's
the
all
target
really
audience was hit.
But yeah, one of the things, talking about it being a game of its time, right? Linear action shooter kind of thing. Boy, the level design in this game is a lot of metal hallways and rock buildings that are blocked off by military crates, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, and
that's outside of skyboxes and like some areas that change it up. It's like, man, I am looking at the same floor throughout like the last 5 chapters.
I agree. I think that so I have 2 points to that. One, I think that the part where I felt that the most was those middling chapters where I said the game kind of takes like too long, like to get to the point. I felt that the most at that point, but I also agree with that, like that point throughout the game. But the one thing I will say that I actually wrote down was, like, I remember being impressed with this game, and it's something that it does sort of consistently for most of it, and it is that in the skyline, like in the distance on the horizon, you'll see a point of interest, and more often than not, that's the point of interest you have to go to. So like when you first make Planetfall and you're kind of hey, you have to stop that orbital gun. The orbital gun is visible in the distance, and you kind of, as you're approaching it, you'll constantly see it getting closer and closer to you. And on top of that, like something that I think that adds it's such a small thing, but it does a lot for the atmosphere, is that for example, keeping to that opening area, that orbital gun is going off at certain times, and even when you don't see the gun, there, like on a periodic time, the ground will shake, and you'll hear like the doom of like the shell firing, and that adds like, okay, I'm still here, like everything is still kind of tactile in that way. So I think those small touches really do a lot for me in terms of like building the atmosphere. And I don't know, I thought it was really cool that like even later on, again, you can see like the place where certain you need to get to, and you're like, okay, that place is the objective, and I'm going to be slowly plotting my way toward it. I thought that stuff I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's the overall like aesthetic is really cool of the game. It's just some of those, the smaller detail oriented areas are just always what, like, it's like, oh yeah, this is a 360 PS3 game for sure. Like,
yeah.
And somewhat of that same realm, I'm sure you probably would have touched on this too, but the delivery system of like the new things that get introduced to you, it gets boring. Like it's cool, like, oh yeah, I got like
Ultramarine
kind of
detective
a supply drop, yeah, like, but then like after you like every time I see one, I'm like, okay, what's this now? Like
right.
It kind of got boring. Like, I would have liked some little like spice added to that. I would have liked like someone physically giving me something, or like something other than just me going up to this like drop ship, opening it up and going, oh, there's a hammer in here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree. Also, I will say Power Axe fucking till
I
I'm
agree.
gone.
Everyone talks about the
hammer?
the chain blade.
Oh, the chain sword. The chain sword is
Yeah,
iconic.
and I'm
yeah,
like, the power axe is fucking way better.
I think it's because like the chain sword is like the typical Space Marine thing.
So I did Power Axe for a good bit of the middle of the game, but towards the end, I actually did go back to the chainsword because I liked how fast it swung out. You like it does less damage than the Power Axe, which that's
Right.
a conflict
Given.
as old as time. What do you want? Faster, low damage, or
Yeah.
slower, high damage? So, like, it's something that I was grappling with too. I think we can all agree though that the power hammer removing some of the guns that you
Oh
can
my
use
god,
is less of a
Dude, I thought that was a fucking
it's just
bug.
not worth it.
I
also
was
thought it was a bug at
"Oh,
first.
the game's fucking broken.
Yeah, no, it says in the little tooltip when you get the hammer the first time, it's like you can only use the bolter and the pistol. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like what you're sacrificing to be able to have a really slow melee weapon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when
not
the
great.
sniper is so good of a weapon. You know, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
I could take out most bosses in 3 to 4 shots.
Yeah.
Like,
Or even the melter shotgun or
Yeah.
like the the
Yeah.
double bolter you get later.
it's
It's like
just
there's
not
so many
worth
other
it.
applications that you can use those in
The only
that the
time that
hammer
the
just screws you.
whenever you have the jetpack and the hammer, that combo works. Like that's fine because
Yes.
you get aerial. Like you have like a whole dimension that's added to your game. But when it's just standalone, you're like trotting along on the ground. Absolutely do not take the hammer. It is not worth it. Those guns are way too good to be given up.
Plus, with me switching back to the chainsword, like, satisfyingly, because this game is violent, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna beat around the bush with that, but like, I liked like the stomp move of the axe, but there's just something that's so much more satisfying with the chainsword when you grab an orc and it's just like like cutting through it.
It's
just
I mean, it's the
so
Gears
much
of
more
War thing, man. It's
tactile.
like the
Exactly.
Lancers.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we should maybe talk about enemies because I have one
Oh.
enemy in particular that I could not stand.
Well,
in this
before
game.
before we get on enemies, because we were just talking about, I mean, I had mentioned Gears of War, and so I will
Mhm.
throw this out there because I thought this was like a crazy fact that this was a fact. So this game came out on September 6th, I believe, of 2011, and that is the same month as what game, Nick Sivak?
September 6th, that
September 5th,
was
2011. Yep.
is that Skyrim?
November.
No, that was
November
11/11.
11th.
That was November.
Yeah. It was Gears of War 3.
I was about to say Gears of War
It's
3.
like sending the game out to die. It's like
15 days later, Gears of War 3 came out.
It's like, it reminds me of when I guess Xbox or Respawn boldly released Titanfall at the same time as Call of Duty and Battlefield.
And Battlefield, yeah.
So like, anyway, I thought that was just a fun fact for you guys. Now let's continue with the enemies. Go ahead. I'll let you start that.
So I actually want to ask like Austin first just to see.
All right.
Were
He's
there,
on the
were
hot
there
seat.
any enemies that stood out to you in this game specifically?
Stood out in what way? Just like a
Maybe
pain in
that
the
might
ass
be a little bit more annoying than the rest.
way? So the only one that I would say specifically were towards the end there were like these like sorcerer type of enemies that would just like float back there and they would just like fall off your radar and they wouldn't really do anything.
Yeah, the fucking
And they would just start healing and
Gotcha.
shit.
The beamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not called beamers.
I was just
but
like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Sri, what about you?
Honestly, Austin, that's a good one for me.
Yeah.
Those fucking little critters crawling around with explosives up their ass, dude. What the
Gotcha.
fuck? What the fuck?
So-
Anyway,
So we each have a little bit of a different kind of answer to this. The
Okay.
ones that I could not stand
All right.
were the ones that stood in the back with the rocket launchers that would constantly fire
yeah.
rockets up.
Yeah,
And they
it's
would
the same
constantly
concept of
do,
why I
like-
hate those sorcerers. By the way, it's just because they fall off your radar. They're in the back. You can't fucking reach them. And
The,
it's like
the rockets, for whatever reason, it felt like it was doing like 25% health on every rocket, and some of them fire like 5 at a time. And it's just like, okay, like I've died 3 times here or whatever. Let me respawn. Okay, I'm gonna target you first with my, my rifle, right? And then it's like they take like freaking 10 shots from that to take down. So
Yeah.
it's just like you're just hiding. You're a pain in the butt. I can't focus on any of the other enemies because
what's the
I'm
most
just gonna die from
painful
your
is when
rockets.
you like hit them enough to like stun them for a finisher, and you're like, I fucking wish, dude. I fucking wish I could get you.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that health.
Yeah, I like, the laser guys I certainly got annoyed at a little bit as well, but like for whatever reason, those rockets, it's like anytime I was in an arena with those, it's just like, oh my God, this is going to be such a pain in the ass. Like,
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, if I was to pick, I think mine was like a secondary, because like it was a pain in the ass for a little bit, but like honestly, I fired blindly into the hordes enough where like they'd go off accidentally. It's only mainly when I'm like in the thick of it, chain sorting or power axing, that I'm like, oh shit, I hit one of the fucking explosive shits. But no, I'd probably say that fucking beamer, especially in that last boss fight, fuck that, dude.
There's two of them that
There's
post
two
up
of
on
them.
each
There's like
corner.
a fucking laser system. You can't like. There's like two pillars you could take cover.
I
in.
remember the way I approached the final boss was I literally sat behind crates and just let all the enemies on the floor get to me, so that way I could kill all of them.
Yep.
And then I attacked them. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it pissed me off because they got me like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I was in that final fight. So basically, same thing. Thinning out the enemies however you can, and then there's the part where they send 2 Chaos Marines after you.
Yeah.
And I remember I was using the double bolter. I hadn't used it at all during the fight. So like I was like, I know they're probably gonna throw some BS over here that I'm gonna need this for.
Yeah.
And so I like after a little bit, I got one of them down, and then there's the second one, and I was just unloading mag after mag into him, and I was just like, die already, man. Like, what is happening?
Am I right
It soak up so much
in
ammo.
understanding that those guys that like in that fight, and like they appear like 2 or 3 other times in the second half, but are those the guys in Bolt Gun that like you kill and then they come back as champions?
I think so.
Dude, fuck.
Yeah.
Every game I play, they're the worst part about it. What the fuck? Holy shit. Yeah, no. Yeah, those are...
But yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, all of our, bad gamer takes aside,
the game was too hard.
I do like the amount of enemies that they get on screen in this game, especially for a game of this time. It's like that could be like something like, Left 4 Dead kind of did stuff like that, where you have a lot of enemies on screen and stuff. But another game like this, or like even Gears of War, kind of like whenever you're playing, it's like usually there's like maybe 10 enemies or so, for a combat arena. Right. And this one, that's like there's routinely like areas where there's like, hordes of orcs coming after you.
And it's one of those things
which for that exact reason is why it makes those people that stand in the back such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Is because you're not just dealing with like a sniper, which like in like a Gears of War,
where you can take cover and
okay,
like
there's 2
yourself.
locusts, then a ticker, and then there's a sniper.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's like I have 20 of like main orcs running at me, I have 5 higher leveled orcs running at me, and then I have 3 snipers attacking me all at the same time.
Yep. That's why I'm pretty sure I texted Austin. I was like, dude, this game can be a fucking overwhelming.
Yeah, it really can, but in a good way. Like it gives a challenge without being challenging. If that like you feel accomplished when you clear an area.
Yeah.
I think the difficulty actually summarized it really well when it said, because I think we all played on normal, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever the standard one is. In the difficulty, it said like, the intended experience, like you will die occasionally. And that's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah.
Like it was like not every level. There were some levels that I was fine on, but like some levels,
yeah,
it's
I'd
like,
fly through some and then I'd hit a wall where I'd be like, oh shit, okay, I need to focus
my
up.
experience
And then
is I didn't die the whole point up to the chaos.
Oh
Like,
damn!
when it was just the orcs and just theirs, like their enemy type, I was like, okay, I totally understand them. They're kind of very vanilla, generic
green,
kind
actually.
of video game kind of enemies. But once they give these higher upgraded enemies, I'm like, okay, like this is a bit fucking different.
Yeah. Or when you're in the middle of like orcs and the fucking chaos beings. All right, so let's see what else kind of general things. Oh, I will say though, yes, impressive that there had so many enemies, and so recently I've been staying away from everything with Space Marine 2 until I finished this game, just because I didn't want anything like accidentally spoiled for me. I felt like I remembered at some point that Captain Titus was gonna die, and I was like, "Oh man, I sure hope that's not real." And at the end, I was the game. I was like, "Oh, he's not dead," but oh shit, he's going to jail. But the what the hell was I saying? I was fucking started speaking, and I went on a fucking side.
Staying away from Warhammer.
Thank you. So I was staying away from Space Marine 2 stuff, but because of that, the only thing I've been playing is Space Marine and a VR game for the PlayStation VR from like 7-8 years ago. And so now that I've finished Space Marine and I went back, I'm looking at some Space Marine 2 stuff, my brain cannot comprehend the level of fidelity that this game has. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like things look too crisp. I just played the first game. It is not like it's such a leap. But
so it's funny because I've watched and heard people that have been playing the preview copies that got sent out to a few people.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that I've heard like across multiple creators at this point is it's so weird that the cutscenes look worse than the game. So like you'll get
it's one of those games. Yeah.
You'll get to the cutscene and my cat food just dropped.
It's feeding time.
For me. No, so the cutscenes look much worse, and like they just like even like with the helmet off, they said it looks like a little worse, but whenever you have the armor on, it just seems like a perfect like smooth like the reflections, any like mud tracks on the armor, blood tracks on the armor, so it's just
I don't think anyone's ever said blood tracks on the armor so lovingly as you just said now.
You know, I just
also it was interesting that they're called power armors as well. I was like, oh, now I have less to remember.
The franchise,
Fallout and Warhammer have a consistency that I don't. It's the less information I have to store about these kind of diverse fandoms, the easier. All right, so let's see. Generally, I don't have much else. I think we've touched on most of everything that we had. Anything you guys had still left?
If you're planning on playing Space Marine on Steam through the Anniversary Edition on PC, you might have to turn off VSync, because when I first started the game, it was running in slow motion. And I was like, I don't think this is cinematic. I think this is just not working right. So if you disable VSync, your game will run how it's supposed to.
I mean, on that note, and I think, Austin also probably had a similar experience, but I played through this entire game on my Steam Deck, and I was fully locked in every time.
Here he goes, getting the Gabe paycheck again.
I got it. He PayPal's me 5 cents directly. The Steam Deck, I was locked in, so like I had my headphones on, and I was like fully focusing on everything that was happening. I ended up collecting a lot of the servo skulls too, so I was like really kind of looking out for them.
I think I might have gotten all of them. Like I didn't think any of them were really hidden. I don't know if you experienced that too.
I didn't get all of them. I got half of them.
I got most.
I missed like 5.
Oh
yeah, I got most of them.
Damn. Well, maybe I have to. Maybe I didn't got more than 5. I'm not sure. Maybe I got more than half. I'm not sure.
While we're talking about them real quick, I did think it was a little bit weird that it's like chopped up of the same conversation for some of them.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's
so it's like in collections. I don't know if you saw it. Like it's like there's 5 of a conversation.
Yeah,
because so it's split up, and it's not like the next one you're gonna find is gonna be the second part of that conversation. That could be part 3 to a conversation that you missed.
Yeah.
So it's like it's completely like out of nowhere.
Wow.
Weird.
Also, I will say, I mean, to kind of go with what Nick was saying earlier about like this game can throw so many enemies at you. There's achievements for like getting a certain amount of kills, and you fly through some of those. Like getting 100 enemy downs or whatever, like is so fast in this game because of the rate of enemies that they fire at you. With that said, though. Talking generally about, as we wrap up the discussion about Space Marine, talking generally about this, I'm very much so looking forward to Space Marine 2. it obviously is from a different developer and a different publisher. Sega is not on board. Relic Entertainment is not involved. This is done entirely from. It's published by Focus Entertainment and it's being developed by Saber Interactive. Now, do you guys have experience with Saber Interactive's last game?
Saber Interactive.
It's World War Z. So,
me and you have played World War Z.
Played it.
So over the last week, I've actually been playing World War Z, and oh my god, I'm okay. So I have I don't know how many total there are, but I have 27 servo skulls collected on my screen. So that's what it is, and I am currently in mid boss fight. Is where it took me of plummeting to Nemeroth. All right, that's cool. So anyway, getting back to the topic. I've over the last week been playing World War Z Aftermath, and it is really similar. I mean, it is still crazy that they were able to throw so many Zeeks. It's not zombies, okay, nerds. It's Zeeks onto the screen and just like flood the maps. You know, almost to like a point where I'm like, okay, like shouldn't my like game be lagging at this point? Because like, I'm so used to like. You know, when a game has a certain amount of assets on screen and a certain amount of enemies, you're gonna lag. But you know, surprisingly, the game runs really well. The only problem I experienced was actually if you play in first person, which is now new. Like when Austin and I used to play, first person wasn't a thing. It was only third person. So now you can play in first person. There's like some weird stuff there, but playing World War Z though has only gotten me more excited for Space Marine 2 and what they'll be able to do with this kind of like. World War Z I didn't have as much of an investment in. I just think it's cool because it's like a zombie apocalypse, and as some of you guys might know, I have.
So you mean a Zeke apocalypse?
Oh my fucking god! I got can't believe it. You know, it's just kind of cool, I guess, atmospheric scenes throughout that kind of setting. But here, now that I've kind of had an interest in this universe with Space Marine and playing it in 2024, a month before the second one comes out, I have this, you know. It's almost like a beautiful launching pad to what is to come. And I think to wrap up the conversation, obviously I'm not, you know, I'll let you guys share your final thoughts as well. But the thing I'm left with is that I feel like everything I've experienced in Warhammer 40K somehow always feels like it's a small sliver of a larger story. Like it's like it somehow always ends up feeling like I'm reading the fifth chapter of, you know, a 1,000 chapter novel, you know, and then I'm like getting like, oh, this is cool. Like I see what they're doing here, and like the ideas here are so interesting, but then. You know, you go out and it's like such like a minuscule thing, and some like I could see someone make the argument that this isn't even like a full satiating story because it's not like you don't get full resolutions, and it again, like I said, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger of like, oh, what's going to happen to him next, and so all those things kind of combined, it's still Space Marine still ends up feeling like that, but it's still, I think, to the games that I've played, and I think. I can make this statement for all of the games that we've played. This is the most filling story in the video games that we've played of Warhammer 40K. Again, we're not like talking about
It's also
Dawn of War.
delivered the only characters that I've actually had any sort of connection with, like amongst any of them. And in Dark Tide, you literally create your own character, and but like that character feels like purpose. Like I guess that's almost the point of Dark Tide. So I guess I don't want to.
They're like Suicide Squad. So they're just like
it just feels like, but it just feels like I'm there for nothing. Like I'm just there as a way to play the game. Like and that's
I think Dark Tide, if anything, I would view that as more of like for someone who's already a fan of Warhammer, and they're just like, oh, I want to just kind of live in like a nook and cranny of this place and just kind of get lost in it, because you really can get lost in that game. There's not going to be a lot of story that's like, oh, this is going to be huge like this. Whereas like I think this game, you know, you are in like this large scale war. It's even in Bolt Gun, right? Like, you know, to speak to that a little bit, since, you know, all three of us have played Bolt Gun to different contexts. Nick has played the game before playing Space Marine. Austin's played the game after Space Marine, and I've played it before and after, so it works out. It's a nice gradient. But like replaying it, so the first right from the opening cutscene, I'm like, oh my god, like they're name dropping, Drogon and the Grimskull War and the power source. Like the literal point of Bolt Gun is that you're going to Graia to find a fragment of the power source that that gets destroyed in the end of Space Marine. So that kind of stuff, it's really cool seeing it recontextualized. But still, even in that, it's such a small like the war has already happened. Like the big stuff is gone. You're the small you're the small 7-8 foot power armor wearing Space Marine in this grander universe. So like the story doesn't have as huge of implications as I think Space Marine does. Again, to reiterate, said it again. Not Dawn of War, not the Rogue Trader, or all those kind of what category are they? What are they classified
like
as?
RTS, like RTS. Strategy games.
All right,
not Speed Freaks.
Not any mobile games. We're not talking about Tactus.
Oh, dude, Austin, what's that game? Is it Blood Bowl? Isn't that?
Oh, the football.
Yeah, isn't that Warhammer
game?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it Warhammer?
Yeah, because it's orcs.
I think
it's orc football. I think that's what it is.
I never associated those two. Wait, I think you are correct that it is called Blood Bowl. It is in fact a Warhammer game. Look at that. I did not know that.
Austin found his new favorite game.
No. I tried Blood Bowl. I was not a fan. Not a fan.
Hey, they made
Love
it to
football.
They made it to 3 somehow, Austin.
They have.
And you know what?
Good for them.
And you know what hasn't made it to 3? Half-Life. So must be better than Half-Life. Must be better than Half-Life.
Yet there's leaks. There's data miners.
That is true. That is true. All right, Nick. Final thoughts on Space Marine.
It was very good. I was itching for something that was, a little bit older in design sensibilities, and I think this scratched that itch very well. It's not a perfect game, kind of like you said. I think 7 out of 10 really, it finds its home in that kind of a game. But, if you're just looking for something fun, action-y, and, not too bogged down in numbers, I think it's a great game even to this day to pick up and give it a play.
Yeah, 100%. Austin?
Yeah, I agree. I put it right in that 7 to 7.5 kind of range out of 10. It's just exactly what I miss from the games that I grew up with. It's just like I don't have to be like overly intelligent at face value to understand what's happening in the game. And the gameplay is simplistic, but gives a level of challenge that makes the game what it is and very unique. So it also does a great job at kind of giving curiosity as to, okay, why is this happening? More about the world. And it at least inspired me to go and read a little bit and learn a little bit more, and even pushed me to play Space Marines 2. But I agree. It's a great game that, even though it feels aged, it doesn't feel aged in the wrong way. It feels appropriate for the time it was made, and it's a game that anyone who grew up in that time especially can remember playing games like it and just kind of have that fond memory of like a Gears of War, but more arcadey than Gears of War, which I'm totally okay with.
And there you have it. That was the first episode of Retro Grade. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our discussion about Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Now, next episode, what are we going to play? Well, we're not sure yet. Feel free to leave a comment down below and suggest a game that you'd want us to maybe tackle. Of course, we're going to comb through our own backlogs, find games that we really want to play, and give them a go. And if you want to keep up with those, we'll announce future games as we're kind of playing them over on our podcast. So check out the Respawn Station podcast to stay up to date with that. Also, and this is kind of a random one, but I just thought I thought it was very inspired, or maybe curious. Earlier at the very start of this episode, Nick had said something that piqued my interest, which was Warhammer and Me. And so now I'm really curious about a Marley and Me remake with Nick and a Warhammer. I'm if you guys want to see that, leave a like. That's the only way. That's the only way it's going to happen. Warhammer.
Oh, yeah. We'll make it the full movie
Warhammer and Me.
if we get a certain goal.
Yeah, I'm not saying what the goal is, so you guys just kind of
And the Warhammer will be played by Kevin Hart.
Yes.
The star from the critically acclaimed Borderlands movie.
The goal is 40,001.
Yep. That's all I need. So, with that said,
Actually, if this just can premiere with a higher Rotten Tomato score than the Borderlands movie,
I think we'll make it
Yeah,
clear. I
we'll
think we'll
be
clear. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, check out respawnstation.com for more gaming news, reviews, and opinions. With all that said, as always, people, until next time, have a good night, a good morning, and a damn good time.
I'm the hand of Gork and Mork. They sent me to make war.
that's one of them.